Hey everybody, so this is my 2014 dirty Ford Fusion. I started hearing some squealing and some rubbing of the brakes a few weeks ago, even when not on the brakes, so that's a good sign that something's a little gummed up. So this past weekend I took everything apart, lubed it up, and found the problem. I had a hanging caliper in the rear, which kind of ground down one of my pads, so today we're going to replace them. Alright, for supplies, and I think this goes for 2013 to at least 2016. I think they're all the same. Yeah, so you're going to start with a breaker bar and socket for your lug nuts. This one's a 3/4 inch. A wrench for your slide pins. This is a 7mm hex. A wrench for your bleeder valve. This is 7/16. It's the only one that seemed to fit. A tool to press in your calipers. At least in the rear, you actually need a tool to spin the calipers in. Some rope or a hanger or a bungee cord or whatever. This is just to hold up the caliper when it's off the bracket. You don't want it hanging by the brake line. It's not really meant to support the weight of the caliper. You've got a sanding sponge, which we'll get to later. Two different types of lubricant. The silicone is for the slide pins, and the grease. This is for the pads wherever they slide on the caliper or the bracket. Brake clean, obviously. Brake fluid, always a good idea to top it up after you push in your calipers again. Paper towels, brake pads, obviously, and then a bottle with some tubing. This is for the tubing just slips over the nipple on the bleeder valve, and then that'll just catch your extra brake fluid, so it's just not a mess. So. Now, if I forget anything else, which I might, because it's my first video, I will let you know. Alright, so the car's up in the air, the wheel is off. Make sure to at least crack your lug nuts loose before you lift the car up, or else you'll have to put it back down, do it, and then lift it back up again. I did the other side first, so hopefully I don't look like a fool. Alright, so to get started, there's just this clip right here. It just pulls off. And then you have to take out the slide pins. So they're actually in these little covers right here. So you're just going to take these caps off. You can see this one's still got silicone paste in it from when I took it apart last week. Same thing there. You're going to take your 7mm hex. Should be able to find it there. Make sure you're going the right direction. And they should just crack loose. Alright, so I have the slide pins out. Here they are. Just wipe the extra silicone paste off of them. And when I originally took these out, there was a buildup of like either brake dust or road grime or both. So I can get some in focus there. There you go. Just right up around the threads. It's probably like a 2 or 3 mil wide kind of just ridge of stuff. So that's where I took the sanding sponge. I first tried some brake clean in a paper towel, but that didn't really seem to cut it. So I just did some light sanding just up at the top, and it got it pretty clean. So we'll set these aside and then pull the caliper off. Alright, so ready to take the caliper off. I got my rope all tied up. I just hung it from the stud at the bottom of the shock, ready for hanging the caliper. I also put a lug nut back on the rotor. Sometimes you'll have screws here keeping the rotor on the hub. This one comes kind of loose, so just to keep it in place, I just put that lug nut back on. So to take the caliper off, it should just pull right off. Seems like for me, the outer pad stays on the caliper, and the inner pad, here's where the rope comes in. Just hang that there. The inner pad stays on the bracket, but here they are. Actually, quick, I'll show you what the old ones look like. These ones look pretty even, so everything was moving the way it should be. And there's actually still quite a bit of material left on these. But yeah, I'll show you the old ones real quick. So here's the other side. You can tell that this inner one was not moving the way it should have. It's much thinner than the outer one. So that pin was definitely hanging. I think some of the grime that I was talking about on the slide pin That was preventing the caliper from fully releasing, and then it rode this one down to almost nothing. So, alright, so the next step is to push in the caliper piston. Reason being is the old ones, which you just took off, are much thinner than the new ones. These are the new ones, actually. So I just bought these from Ford. I've purchased them before from like O'Reilly or Napa or whatever's in your area, but sometimes they don't come with clips, or just there's a couple different problems I've had. Sometimes the geometry of the slides is a little bit off, but yeah, so I figured I'd spend in a couple extra bucks and just do it from Ford. So these ones are interesting. These actually have like an adhesive kind of gooey pad on the back, probably so you don't have to lubricate it, but I still think I will anyways. So anyways, there's the new ones. So to push in your calipers, this is that tool again. And this is the side I actually need. I need this side with the 2 pins that are pretty far apart. So I just got my ratchet and extension. Stick that on there, and then we're also going to use. Here's the bottle with the tube on it. This is just going to be stuck on the bleeder valve. That is actually right here. So actually just going to pull this cap off. Pull out some tube. And I should just push over. This one's a little tight. You could get slightly bigger tubing. I think this tubing is 5/16 tubing. Yeah, there you go. It just sticks right on. And I'll get the wrench and crack it loose. Alright, so this is your 7/16 wrench. All you have to do is you just have to crack the bleeder valve, just so it's open. You do not take it all the way off. Oh, it's pretty tough. There we go. A little bit of drama there. So I just went a little bit more than like a quarter turn, and that was good enough for the other side at least. So now we'll take our piston tool here. See if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it there. So yeah, there you can see the little spots for these 2 pegs to sit in. The idea is to just line up the tool with the caliper piston and then push and turn. And you can see I've already got a little bit of fluid coming out of the bleeder valve there. So you'll see a bunch more. And I just pushed it until it stopped. It's a little awkward. It's a different set of hands than I did last time. Yeah, there you go. You're just going to push and turn. You should keep on seeing fluid come out. And you will know when you're all the way in. There is a hard stop that you'll feel. There you go. No more. That is all it has. So I did actually make a mistake there. There still was more travel. I just had to keep pushing. And then that piston got all the way in. Hopefully you can see it there. So the boot is pretty much all the way collapsed, and your piston face is just a little bit out from that boot. So now we'll close the bleeder. Took the tube off, tightened the bleeder nipple down. Actually, sorry, you want to tighten it and then take the tube off. Remember to put this cap on, or else you'll be sorry. So I've got the new pads here, and you're going to want to use your brake grease, this stuff here. You're going to want to put some grease on the pads wherever they contact either the caliper or the caliper bracket. So for these, it's going to be pretty much the insides of those little crooks right there, and then the outside of these tabs. Same with this one. And then actually the outer one has little tabs that also clip onto the caliper up here, these little horns. So I'm going to put some on the inside of those as well. And then On the outer one, these two are going to touch right there, so I'm just going to put a little right there. And the inner one, the piston's going to touch the middle, so I'll just put a little on there. Alright, so I've got my pads all greased up on both insides, the inside of this little horn guy right there, the two outsides of the outer pad, circle of the inner pad. I think that should be it. So your outer one slides right there. Same with the inner one. Slides right there. Now you're ready to put the caliper on. That should just slide right on. Yep, nice. So I did actually push the caliper in more than enough. Nice and sloppy. Get it on there. Next is the clip, which can be difficult. There we go. Practice makes perfect. Now we're actually ready to put the caliper slide pins back in. Alright, so I just put a little dab of silicone on the pin here. There you go. So just going to smear that around the front. I call it the front of the pin, I'm not sure what it is, but anyways, the front of the pin near the threads. Wipe off the excess, and that is just going to go back in the socket. There you go. And you're going to do the same thing with the other one. Tighten it in. So I'll show you this one all the way through. Might as well. So here's the second one. Got it all nice and lubricated. Gonna go right in the socket, and it should kind of fall into the threaded hole pretty nicely. But do this part fairly carefully. On the other side, I almost had it start cross-threading into the hole. So take it slow at the beginning, and then it should just go in nicely. There we go. Give it a little nudge, not too much, because I think most of these components are actually aluminum. Come on. There we go. So now, what I'm going to do, just to keep some of the moisture out, is squeeze a little out of the tube, and then just put it right into like the head of the pin. Wipe it off, same thing on the other side. There you go. Got my caps here. Don't forget to put those back on. Oh, got a little squeeze out there. That's just fine. Extra moisture resistance. On the other side. Oh, more squeeze out. So we're in the car now. Wheels are on, and lug nuts have been tightened to, I tightened them to 75 foot-pounds. That's the value that I saw online. But an important part is to, like actually right now, I don't know if you just heard it, but my brake pedal went all the way to the floor. The brake pads are not quite snugged up to the rotor yet. So before you drive anywhere, you're going to want to pump the brakes until it is firm. So I think we're there, and you should be good to drive around now. So a lot of people say you should brake in your brake pads, and a lot of those people all have different ways to do it. One of the ways that I've found, well, not found to be the best, just the method that I've used and haven't had any problems with, you know, your rotors warping or your pads jumping or whatever, is just like 5 stops from, I think it's 15 miles an hour. Actually, don't come to a complete stop. Drive about 15 miles an hour, brake until you're almost stopped, let off the pedal, speed up again, do that a couple more times, and then a couple more of those from like 30 or 40 miles an hour, and that should heat up the surface of the brake pad enough to seat it or mate it to your rotors. And then I think you should be good to go. Alright, so under the hood here, we're just going to refill the brake fluid. The reservoir is just back here. Sorry, get the camera on it. I don't know if you could see, but I'm actually not too low. I'm just a little below the max line, kind of on the seam right there. If like all your pads were worn, all your pistons would be sticking out, which means you would have gone through a lot more brake fluid. That's actually the main reason you go through brake fluids, because they're busy filling the pistons when the pads get smaller. We're just gonna fill it up anyways. Alright, so I've got my brake fluid here. This stuff had the highest boiling point, but DOT 4 is the most important part. Just gonna top it up to the max line. Should be good. Cap on. And you should be good. Okay, so there you go. You just successfully put new brake pads on the rear. The front is about the same, but actually even easier because you don't even need that special tool to turn the pistons in, the caliper pistons in. You just need to push them, and all your fluid should come out of the bleeder valve. Close it up, and you should be good to go. So anyways, I made this video because there wasn't any other videos out there to, to do the whole process of replacing pads or rotors. Actually, to do the rotors, all you need to do is just undo 2 more bolts, and the bracket that the caliper, the brake pads, that bracket that the brake pads slide on, that'll come off, and then the whole rotor just comes off as well. And that's how that is done. But anyways, yeah, so I just did this because there wasn't any other videos. So if I didn't come off as a total, complete, bumbling idiot, let me know, and I might bring the camera in the garage more often. And do some other fun stuff. I don't exactly know what that'll be as of right now, but yeah, let me know. Thanks, guys.